You're wondering, you're saying to yourself, all right, Mr. Leposki, you always tell me that I need to have a global reason here, and these all need to be details and examples. I run out of details and examples. What are some details and examples I can use? Okay, so this is what I'd like to explain to you. What exactly are the details and examples? Well, first off, if you use the same detail and examples through the whole paper, your paper becomes boring. I face it, nobody likes to read a boring paper. So you try to do things that are, different throughout the paper. Like maybe in one paragraph use one strategy, and another paragraph use a different strategy. And believe it or not, there are strategies on how to use the details and examples. All right, so let's start with examples. What type of examples are there? Well, there's examples. The examples go just right along with making connections, okay? You can have examples that come from other stories, text to text. You can use examples that come from your life, text to you. See how they're connected? And you can use examples that are connected to the world around you, to others, text to the world. See? They are connected. So those are three types of examples you can use. So in one of the paragraphs, you should use an example that is connected to a different text or a different story or a different event, right? Okay. One of the paragraphs, you should use an example that's connected to you, okay? And one of the paragraphs, you should use an example that's connected to somebody else or the world, okay? So try to use different examples in each one of your paragraphs. Try to make them different, okay? So then, what are some other things that you can put in there? Well, another thing is you can do what's called anecdotes. And these are examples where there are, hold on, I have to read this to you. There are types of examples that are presented as a brief narrative that supports your stated opinion. They may be presented in either the first person or the experienced person's point of view. For example, there are three major requirements for using an anecdote. Number one, they must focus on a single event. So in one paragraph, you talk about one event. They must use some type of transition words where you go from one thing to the next thing and so on. And they must be brief. Typically, no more than 5 sentences or so. So here, let me read one to you. Rudeness is on the rise in our highways. Last week, my mom and I were traveling on the freeway to see my grandmother in another state. As we approached our exit, my mom turned on her turn signal and tried to move over into the right lane. Just then, the man in the car beside us saw us, but he would not let us into the right lane. As a result, we were unable to move over into that lane, so we missed our exit and had to drive an extra 5 miles. I have never seen such rude person. Okay, good. 5 sentences or less, short, sweet, right to the point. And it included transition words. Remember, those were the requirements. So here's another example. Litter is a problem on our highways. Global statement, right? Now, let's see if there's 3 things that it tells about within the paragraph. Because we know from our chart, global reason, 3 things. So let's see if this one has it. Litter is a problem on our highways. Last week, in our newspaper, there was an article about a lady who sat by a freeway for 10 hours. During the first 3 hours, she observed 26 pieces of trash tossed from her passing cars in just that one spot. I would never do that. As the day went on, that's one thing. As the day went on, the number of pieces increased to 41. Second thing. By the end of the day, she had collected 63 pieces of trash on the freeway. After that, it was hard to deny that litter was a problem on the particular freeway. See, what that was is an example that the person shared that was about somebody else, so that was what that was. But included 3 things. Number 1 was at least 5 sentences, it had transition words, it told a story, but it was very brief and to the point. All right, so anyways, An experience that others would have. Let's say you were going to write a paragraph and you were going to include that in your paragraph. Here's one. The San Diego Zoo is an ideal place for a class trip. Global reason. My cousin Sarah went there with her family, and she told me that there were all kinds of exotic animals to see. My best friend Ryan said the zookeeper allowed him to actually feed an elephant. He said that he had been to many different zoos, but he had never been allowed to do that. Oh, there's probably more details about this one. Finally, in the reptile area, she told me about a python that was almost as big as a football field. Ew, I hate snakes. Okay, so that's an experience about others. Fit our 3 details that fall underneath there. And now, an experience that could be personal. Obviously, we don't want to tell things that are so personal that it's going to upset us. And we don't want to tell stuff that might upset other people. Maybe that's not stuff that we write about. You know, sometimes things need to be personal, like kept to ourselves and our family. But there are personal events that you could share, like experiences that you've had. For example, my teacher is very supportive of her students. One day, when I forgot to do my homework, she gave me time to do it in class. Another time, she stayed in at lunchtime and let me come do my math homework during my lunch break. When I was in the hospital, she allowed me to do my work when I returned home and was healthy again. She is a very supportive teacher. Good job, by the way. That came from the book. I didn't really make that up. But I think that explains your teacher. I think I'm a very supportive teacher, and I hope you think that too. Anyways, so let's quickly review. Types of experiences that you could share are 1. Personal experiences, text to self, text to other text, so text to other stories, connections with other stories, and text to others, right? So examples of others. So those are the 3 types of examples you could include. And details, those are easy to provide because everybody has lots of details they can share. And details can be made up because all we have to do is pretend like we're Barry Lane and dial in our binoculars and make them a little crazier and a little crazier, and we won't mind because no one will know. And they just make our story more interesting and make it so that people want to read our story. I think this video will do it. Have fun writing!